What's going on, guys? My name is RagingRaptor and I have absolutely splendid news. Something I actually didn't expect from wargaming. But yeah, apparently 1.6.1 won't be as shit of an update as I thought it would be. Because let's be honest, a Rudy which can change nations. Wow. New styles. Oh my goodness, so cool. I'm so happy that we have that. Wow. And lastly, some changes to the, to the rank battles, which is, I guess, it's okay. It's okay. But now, Wargaming hits a bombshell. Maybe Wargaming after all watches my videos and saw that I'm personally annoyed, a lot of people are annoyed, a lot of people on my German channel are annoyed, and they hit us with a bombshell that when we go now to the store and probably have to wait like 5 minutes because it's stupid, we will see that Wargaming finally is again trying to make a BONDSHOP. Or at least they just want to show the first idea or try to do the technical aspects, because we already had an option with the BONDSHOP. Sadly, it didn't really work out for them. They said that they had technical issues, hence why it got delayed so much. But it's back. And this is the roster we have right now. And already we are getting quite some treat. However, I really want to make one thing clear. When I first saw the picture, I immediately wrote to Felix, which is the German community manager, and I was like, dude, is this a hoax or is this real? And he was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, 15k bonds for tier 10 reward. And then he told me that this is just to test the mechanic. And they decided to use different reward and premium vehicles to look how it works out and what the feedback of the community is. And lastly, he said that they first thought about putting all those tanks for 10 bonds to the test. But now they decided to give them some proper values, which would make sense. But please keep in mind, those values are not fixed yet. So this is official wargaming news. So, yeah, it's interesting to see, like, this completely blows open predictions and ideas we could have for the BONDSHOP, or tanks which could come to the BONDSHOP. So now, let's move back slightly and focus on the first eye catcher, the tier 10 vehicles. The tier 10 Clan Wars reward vehicles. That's pretty important to point out, because Clan Wars reward, well, usually, for me at least, I wasted a lot of time to get them, and maybe a lot of sleep as well, and failed some exams for them, but that's not important right now. But to get those vehicles, you have to invest a lot. So, my first thought is, well, that's some crap, because that's just unfair, because I worked so much for an M60 and a 121B, and suddenly it's just there for everybody on the grabs. Also, before anybody asks what were the prices, because you can see them here, I actually forgot this. There we go. M60 and the 121B. Also, the tier 10 tanks, 15,000 bonds. The tier 8 premiums, 8,000 bonds, and the low tiers, 1,500 bonds. Okay. So enough of that. So my first thought was like, well, that's some crap. Again, those people now can get those tanks easily. Just think about, you got those bonds from the loyalty program, which were around 4 to 6,000 if I'm not mistaken. You got around 4,000 for playing Steel Hunter. You now got some for playing the race mode, if I'm not mistaken. And you get some for playing Frontline. You get at least 6,000 to 7,000 bonds, if I'm not mistaken. But you will get 4,000. Just the two big prestiges gives you 4,000. So you get a lot of bonds through it as well. So you should quickly gather 15,000 bonds to get one of those tanks. And again, I have my first impression, and this was also the impression of our clan or the Mortis on the EU server, was, well, that's some bull crap, because now every little idiot basically can get such a reward tank, which we worked very hard for. However, on a second glance, I have to say, maybe they should just raise slightly the prices and do those stagnated. Do not give out these tanks for free or very, very easily. Because, well, obviously not for free, but just very, very easily. Because now I'm thinking that it's actually not that bad of a thing when we have more tanks in the game, especially more rare vehicles in the game. Yes, they make them less rare, but in the end, it's not that bad. It's at least something, and something I'm looking forward to. However, I would personally like to see for the tier 10 reward vehicles that they are stagnated. So, for example, now the newest tank would be the Chieftain. So the Chieftain should be the tank which will be released the latest from all those tanks. So the next tank in theory should be the VK 7501K in this BONDSHOP, or the 907, because I think the 907 is a little bit newer, or older, older I mean. Make that stagnated, so the people which play, what's it called, our Lord and Savior Clan Wars, they have the added bonus of having those tanks earlier and maybe having to spend less bonds into them. Other than that, it also blows the door wide open. Will we get to see the 277, the T22 SR again, which was the reward for demolition thingy. I don't know what's called in English, I only know it in German. Rampage mode, I think it was called, Rampage. Which is a very mediocre tank, used to be incredible overpowered, but then they nerfed it. Maybe, we could see a tank like the Object 268 version 5. Maybe. It's in the game for a long period of time. I highly doubt that Wargaming is going to release the Waffenträger of even 100 for all your fanboys down there in the comment section below. Wargaming could even think about releasing the normal Chieftain. This would make it accessible for everybody if they have put enough time into it. Like on tier 10 in general, we have still a decent chunk of tanks which we could just give out in this mode. Obviously the Foch 155, the 183 and so on, which were removed, but we could also, for example, again see the Chieftain, we could see the Object 268 version 5, We could see in theory tanks like the T22 medium, or this M48A2, T54E2, T110E6 tank, maybe, but again those are a lot of maybes. I personally wouldn't mind. We could also see this Chieftain variant with a bigger cupola, which would actually be probably more balanced than the current Chieftain which is in the game. But for tier 10 we could see a lot of different tanks which could blow this wide open, and it's something similar which Wargaming has done in World of Warships, which again I don't really see as a big deal breaker. Just think about it, for example in World of Warships when you play Clan Wars, if I'm not mistaken, and rank battles, you get this steel currency. And I'd even say it one-to-one translates to what we have as bonds. You get it through rank, you get it through Clan Wars, and you don't get it otherwise. So, I think this is a good idea, because now you can implement new tanks which are completely new for everybody, and it could be pretty interesting, so why the hell not? That's a good thing. And so that is what I want to say about the tier 10 vehicles. About the tier 8s premium, I think this is a great opportunity for free-to-play players which play the game for a long period of time. But it's also a great opportunity for the other player type, which already has a lot of tanks and is like, yeah, I don't care about tier 10s, I just want a new credit maker. So implementing those tanks for bonds is also a nice idea. However, Wargaming itself has to think very, very fondly about it, because let's be honest, those tanks, well, they lose the most money through the tier 8 premiums when they're going to be added into it. However, I think 8,000 bonds is a totally nice and understandable price for those vehicles. And lastly, some rarer tanks, like those two tanks, the M10 RBFM and the T34 Shielded, are totally fine, and especially 1,500 bonds, that's peanuts. This is super easy, you get it quickly, let's say, like at least. If you grind per day 100 bonds, you get it in 15 days, which is nothing. For this one, well, you grind around 80 days, and for those 15 to 150 to maybe even 200. Because I personally think that maybe bumping up the price to 20,000 wouldn't be too bad of an idea. But again, I'm no wargaming employee, and I'm talking for myself, and I have a lot of bonds. However, I think that 15,000 is also appropriate, because then you have to say, well, do I want a tank with fully bond equipment, or do I want a new tank? It kind of makes sense to me. But again, it also kind of makes sense to make it a little bit higher, because it's a completely new vehicle. So, on tier 5 and lower tiers, we could find much different vehicles as well, which are very rare. And like the M4A2E4, for example, would be a tank which I would love to try and play, even though I heard it's trash. We could see a tank like the VK6501K, which is just some random tier 5 heavy tank, which Wargaming some updates ago put it to the game. I don't know when this tank came, to be honest. I just happened to be there suddenly. But on tier 6, for example, Wargaming could think about adding the Object 244, which I don't think they will, because there was a bundle for 100 euros or dollars for it. But they could add the TOG, the mighty TOG boat. That would be amazing for people to get the TOG again, because it's a meme vehicle, so why not give it to the people? They all want it, and apparently our Kiki Baby had a lot of fun with the TOG only game. On tier 7, there are not really that many unique tanks which would be missing. Those T44 variants would be, but most importantly, probably this vehicle right here, the VK4502P, which is just like the real version of the VK45, just with the small turret, with the weak turret, etc, etc, etc. Other than that, on tier 8, there are just 3 vehicles which I would love to see, and that's the KV4 KDTS, the Jack Tiger H, and the ISU 140. For the people not knowing, on the EU server, we sadly did not yet have the ISU 140. Also for light tanks, the Aufklärungspanzer 5, but I think the Aufklärungspanzer would probably be a tank we'll see in another edition, or the rendition of this mode, or this what's it called? I said it earlier, with the T52, like the gifts you get for playing the game long. And a T44 lightweight, I don't know, looks wonky, looks interesting. Yeah, maybe a little bit less overpowered than the LP432, because it only has 5 degrees gun depression. Who knows? But yeah, this is my personal opinion on this subject. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Do you like the idea? Do you think the prices are alright? Are they too big? Do you want to see more tanks like this, and like this, and so on and so forth? I think Wargaming really wants to hear some feedback, and this was RagingRaptor. Thank you so much for your attention. Cheers, guys, and till the next video.